All right. I was told that we're live, and that means I can start my presentation. So probably for the people who are already there, will be no surprise what is the topic. It's a performance review in the big tech companies. And how will we do that? There are three main areas we will cover. Levels, their descriptions, expectations, and we will skip compensations. Review, what are the ratings and how these ratings affect your life in the company. And then calibration, so basically how it's structured, like different axes, and probably I plan to focus on engineering axis, but we also can cover managers axis. And then how this is done, like what is mashups, how people assign your rating, who does that, and what people are usually involved. And then I also have a number of questions which were already prepared before this. I'll try to answer them. Those are really good questions. And also, I can see that some people write something in this YouTube translation already. So if there will be anything there to answer, I'll try to do that, right? So how many people? 65. Okay, so let's go. I mean, I'm not sure that grades is the best description, but we can call it grade, level, whatever. But anyway, the idea is that you'd like to assign a specific level to the specific employee so that you would have an expectations from this employee, and this employee also would know what is expected. It's also to some extent, or like you might say, very much connected to the compensation, etc. Right? So I like now before going deep into levels, we can have a first watershed moment. Like we have two big areas, two main branches of this. Individual contributors. Those are professionals who contribute to a team organization but do not manage others. And engineering managers. So they plan, coordinate, and oversee the technical engineering activities of an organization. They are responsible for planning engineering projects and overseeing the efficiency of these projects. Probably no surprise for you, right? That there are managers and contributors. So if we go from there, we could describe some of them using a system which is used in Facebook or Google. Obviously, you might find different indications. You might find different letters. You might find different numbers. But the key idea will probably be the same. And here we will start from like the beginning, which probably makes sense. And we will start from E2 or level 2, which is very well known to almost everybody. It is basically an intern, right? So what do you expect from intern? You don't expect much, but you expect that this person, with some guidance or a lot of guidance, will do what this person told to do, right? And that's it, right? Obviously, you don't have an engineering manager who's an intern. Actually, you don't have engineering manager before an E5 level, which is a senior, but let's wait for that. So the next level is E3, which is also very well known as a junior. So there are different ways how to describe that. There is an agnostic-based schema, which I prefer to use, and there is much more fine-grained schema, which can provide you a description. So, for example, if we take a description of level 3 engineer, junior engineer, it might be something like, you're able to complete individual tasks independently without much guidance and by using your judgment and problem-solving skills. You're resourceful in getting answers to your questions and work through any issues in a reasonable time, typically not more than a few days. You're able to tackle increasingly more complex tasks and you seek out more work if you can handle it. You show eagerness to accept more responsibility. You understand and work to correct any constructive feedback you receive, and many more. So I prefer an agnostic description. So if you work on like individual tasks and your impact is within a single team and you need a guidance, that's probably a junior, right? Junior, they are not working on complex projects. They need guidance and they need to improve all the time. So otherwise, it probably makes no sense if you have a person who's been junior for the last 10 years. Then the next level is E4 or level 4. Obviously, E stands for engineer. Is just an engineer, just a middle software engineer. So we'll try to take like a comprehensive description. It will be something like you're able to complete medium to large features, each with many tasks, independently without guidance. You have sustained self-driven productivity. You demonstrate strong software engineering skills. You design right code that is well organized. You can identify code that needs improvement and leave code you touch in better shape than it was before, including migrating it to modern frameworks and adding missing tests. If you try to use an agnostic description, it is basically like you can work on a project that includes many different tasks and you need no or almost no supervision, right? You are, you might say, autonomous. Your impact is still within the single team, most probably, so you're affecting the single team. You're a middle engineer. Then if we go further, we will find out that some people who were working on this presentation for me can't count, because after 5, you would expect 6. And after 6, you would expect 7. But apparently this is not what you see here, so sorry for this mistake. But then if we go further, we see that there is an E5, and let's say on the other side, on engineering manager side, there is an M0 who is a manager, is a beginning manager, right? So what is expected from IC5, from E5? So it's basically what is expected is that this person, let's write what is written and then use an agnostic framework. So you have established yourself as a strong owner of a particular component, feature, or system. You have an expert end-to-end understanding. You have a consistently high level of productivity across many projects. You have developed a track record of successfully completing projects of large scope. You are an influencer. You're able to proactively find problems or make suggestions. You drive to resolution, often without guidance. You seek out ways to improve the components or systems you work on to facilitate easier development of new features. You may lead small projects or small teams of people, including activities like running team meetings, writing project status reports, etc. You can drive tasks across other teams, and as such, you are able to build relationships as needed across teams. You understand how to be empathetic. So, and you can see, right, the difference is if we would just try to transfer that to the agnostic base framework, it will be like, now, you still might work on a team level, but sometimes it is expected for you to go outside of your team. You work on a large projects, right? Sometimes you have to gather other people and lead them to work on these projects. And so, for example, what else? Anyway, the reason is that you have the level of seniority and ownership and understanding of the component or critical feature. Like you have established yourself as a strong owner of a particular component, feature, or system, right? So you are responsible for something which is used by many other people or teams. So this is the difference, right? So it's like a different level in what you are responsible for. So we go to let's go level of engineers. Let's go through them. So IC6. Let's read the description. So one more thing. So usually, most probably, we are used to see intern, junior, middle, senior, then sometimes team lead, tech lead. So, however, the career of an engineer is not finished there, but there is only a very small minority of people who can go from E5 to E6. So in a sense, E5 is the terminal level. It is okay. It's not even okay. It's more like honorable to be a senior engineer for the rest of your life. Obviously, senior engineers are very well respected, in very high demand. They need it, but sometimes people can go even further. So if we go further, we'll find a rare beast, a person called staff engineer. And the difference between E5 and E6 is non-linear, so it's like a quantum leap. So we try to read the description, the formal description of staff engineer. We'll see that you play a critical role in helping to set the direction and goals for the team in terms of project impact, product quality, and engineering efficiency. You have led at least one major initiative successfully. You can lead projects and team accordingly. You've solved technical problems that few others can. You are sought out for this ability, and you are a strong mentor for other engineers. You are typically the one who implements the hardest parts of the system of feature. You're able to lead/coordinate rollouts and phase releases, including coordination across team and activities such as migrations of major initiatives. You build and ship high quality work, which is probably expected from, so let's skip that. So if we go to our agnostic framework, now staff engineer is a person who will be responsible for not one team, but 2, 3, 4, 5 team collaboration, common projects, work, etc. So this is the person who is about the single team, intra-team, inter-team, whatever you call this. So now you have this person who's trying to help you to make the bigger team more cohesive. Now, E7. All right, if we think about that, what do we have? We have a whole company. We have different organizations in this company, like we might have like infra, or we might have an integrity, we might have a finance. Those are organizations. Now, within this, we have like a clusters of team, then we have team, then we have projects within the team, then we have tasks within projects, right? So you can see all this hierarchy. So now, if we think about that, E7, level 7, it's like a senior staff engineer. So usually there is no easily made template for IC7 levels. The typical model for advancement has been to identify and deliver initiative that has a large impact and value to the organization. People have been hired and externally at the senior level have proven the ability to make that level of impact in previous organizations in contexts that are relevant to the company that they hired to. So I wouldn't use this formal description because it's, to be honest, pretty much similar to the previous one. But the idea is that E7 is the person who is still an individual contributor, but this person works not even on the intra-teams level, but on the organizational level. The person who drives their organization needs engineering efforts. So, for example, if we try to read one of the points from this description, you are a close partner and collaborator with the managers of the team. You help the manager improve the level of performance of the team. You may also provide feedback about other teams and the organization overall. You keep a close eye on an industry and competition. You assess new technologies and external technologies products that we could benefit from, or they threaten us. You help with leadership recruiting efforts. You simplify the world around you by applying past experiences. Your systems can be reasoned about formally and with an eye towards operational costs. So you can see, right, even the formal description is just trying to convey the message that, okay, this person who works on organizational level. Now, principal engineer, level 8. And then I will take a look into the YouTube. Maybe people just left already. Maybe they're not interested, whatever. So if we take a formal description of an IC8, so you may have impact beyond the company into an industry or specific technology area. You're very passionate about an area and champion it. You may have deep expert level industry leading experience in one or more domains. You are exceptionally seen by your peers internally and externally. You have an extensive level of impact across many areas of engineering. You often see problems and opportunities that no one else sees. You generally solve them with no guidance. You pick projects with a goal of making things extraordinarily better. Often this means pursuing many difficult incremental changes instead of just building something new or shiny. And if we use an agnostic-based framework, it will be just company-based level. Obviously, there are not that many people who can do that. Now, let me read what you guys are reading. All right, Valerie said that you talked about performing reviews in Google and Meta. Does blockchain have the same system? I'm not sure I said that okay, so I'm talking about the system which is presented in the Google and Meta. And yes, we have something similar to in blockchain. All right, so not that many questions, which either very good or very bad. You'd never find out. Now, I will, how much time passed? Oh, 20 minutes already, wow. So what I'll do, I will quickly describe the managers, and then we'll go further. And if you guys would have specific questions about managers, we can discuss that. But basically, obviously, there are much less managers than there are individual contributors, so we would not focus on them. So M0 is a very, very rare thing, but still exists. It's something or someone who is not yet a manager, but like an apprentice. So why not to try? But usually it's most often it is a mistake. And if someone wants to go to the management, it makes sense to go not from a senior level, but from a staff engineer level. I've seen more often than not that going from senior engineer to M0, the output is that you now don't have a senior engineer and now you have a very bad manager. While being an E6 or staff engineer already shows you what does it mean to be a manager, which is basically M1 is a person responsible for 5, 10, sometimes 15, but 15 is not ideal. People helping, guiding them, navigating them through this world and supporting them. M2 is a manager of managers, so basically 3 to 5 managers. And M2 is connected with E7, so obviously E6 is like M1, M2 is like E7, it is a senior manager, person who manages managers, or high-leveled individual contributors. And director, which is like E8, and director is a engineering manager counterpart, is a person who manages senior managers and some senior individual contributors. So it's basically a very simple hierarchy, right? So I mean, in that case, it's something which probably wouldn't surprise you very much. All right, so let's go. Yeah, we'll skip E9 and E10 because anyway, it's like very rare you see these people, and you have to have a big organization. So especially for E9 or E10, it's like John Carmack is like E9, right? Or like Jeffrey Dean. However, you can see VPs even right now, for example, who basically manages. Terrific. All right, good. So now about the front review. Obviously, if you have some expectations from people, there is a judgment day when you have to estimate them, measure them, and people could understand, okay, did I do the right thing? How was my performance? Shall I expect reward or contrary to that? So performance review is a formal assessment in which a manager evaluates an employee's work performance, identifies strengths and weaknesses, offers feedback, and sets goals for future performance. And performance review, it depends. The most common schema is that it takes place every 6 months, during which a calibration package is collected for each employee. So before coming to how it's done, let's discuss what might be an output of that. So meets some expectations. Well, there is actually one more. Does it meet expectations, which is almost the same, like meets some. I never saw meets none or doesn't meet. Well, it's basically a horrible thing. No bonuses, no nothing. Like it's person who has to be fired almost immediately or down leveled. Meets most. It's tolerable. It's probably you would receive like 80% of the base bonus, and like depending how compensation is structured in your company, right? So obviously I've been using Facebook, so you might not know what refresher is and like equity or whatever, so we can skip it. So meets all is good, 100% of the base bonus and refreshers, everything is good. Now exceeds expectations, very good. 125% of the base bonus and refreshers, greatly exceeds expectations, excellence, 200. Well, again, I'm using what is in favor, right? So in your company, you might have different descriptions, different coefficients, whatever. But just to give you an idea that what's the difference, right? You might use just like 100%, 200%, whatever. That tells you that's what is rare and what is not. Like greatly exceeds expectations, excellent. The base bonus of refreshers, awesome. And redefines expectations, exceptional. 300% the base bonus and refreshers. Well, I've seen this one on some levels, but the thing is, the higher you are, the harder it is to receive something better that meets all, obviously, because expectations are so high that receiving greatly exceeds expectation on E3 is something expected to some extent, and it's not very well, you wouldn't expect that on E5 or E6. Another reason is that, for example, on Facebook, there is a rule: you have only 24 months to go from level 3 to level 4, otherwise you are fired. And you have 33 months to go from level 4 to level 5, otherwise you're fired. And senior, E5 is a terminal level. You can be forever there. You can live forever. In Google, though, the interesting thing is that the terminal level in Google is level 4. So it also affects the dynamic within the company. So now you can have this. And basically, you can see that in in a single table, it doesn't mean, means some, means most, means all, exceeds, greatly exceeds, redefined. So if we speak about performance summary cycle, there are 4 axes that are used to assess someone's performance. And if you're going there, let me check a chat. All right, so not that many. So if we use the formal description, it will be something like impact. What was the business and customer impact as measured by the team's goals? What is outside of your level? Was it in line? Were you not that productive? Did you not do what you were supposed to do? But the thing is that, let's say you had a great impact, everybody is happy, metrics are very high, which is like traditional impact is measured by moving a metric, right? You move the metric, you have an impact, this was an important metric, very easy to understand. Like the best metric is probably money. There are many, many different metrics in many different businesses. Trying to move the metric is also fine. So because if you tried something and you find out that this doesn't work, it also helps, it also contributes. Not that much, but still. But the thing is that you might bring an impact, but it is not sustainable because like your code was crappy, it's very hard to maintain, and like next 6 months we'll have a lot of troubles. That's why there is a different axe, which is called engineering excellence, which is basically a quality of your engineering work. Quality like code plus product, doing a ton of code reviews that demonstratively made the code base better is cool. Grabbing the tasks that are difficult and take initiative to do them, things that people usually avoid doing, or even maybe something that people just haven't seen. Or creating the technology pattern that others can use. So you see they're trying kind of balance each other, right? Have impact, have excellence. So direction. Obviously, you wouldn't expect a lot of direction from a junior engineer or a like middle engineer. In their case, direction is mostly project management. Figure out dependencies, planning, etc. But then, if you think about the higher levels, it's like roadmap or collaboration, or like we discussed that you might have to lead a team. There may be more than one person working on a specific project. So you need to set up directions, and you can do that. It's like easy to see because you have documentation, meetings, overall feedback. But it is possible to do direction well, but be a jerk. So that's why there is a people axe, which is like, are you lifting people around you? Operating friction. Is mentorship good? Did people find value on doing tasks for you? So it's like collaboration. Did the person give lift for other person? Mentorship, for example, as a level 5 or 6, you are expected to mentor other engineers. Side contributions, recruiting, creating community group, etc., etc., etc. So you see they're kind of trying to balance each other, right? So you have this. Obviously, if we try to be 100% honest, we understand that like project impact is probably the most important, and then there might be like direction and engineering excellence, and then people. But so like on paper they're supposed to be equal. In reality, they never are. So now you have a calibration package prepared, which is basically 1, 2, 3, 4 pages describing what you've done, like in different axes, like what is impact, what your engineering excellence, what your direction, what your people. Then people have a feedback, like you wrote some feedbacks, people wrote some feedback about you. So how it's done? Let's say we have Anna and Mike, and we would never have them in the same calibration grid. So I will speak with the person who's done this presentation again, but obviously I'm also the one to be blamed because I checked it and I didn't tell them to edit it. But let's say both Anna and Mike are E3 engineers. So who are the people to judge them, like E3 and E4? Those are let's say, and Anna and Mike might be from different teams and they might report to the different managers. So we have their managers M1s, we have their managers manager M2, and we have also E6 plus people there participating in calibrations. So, and then, so let's say we take Anna first, and we read her performance calibration package, and we say, okay, Anna did a good work, it probably meets all. Okay, let's put it there for a while. There might be some fine, maybe some will tell, okay, no, it exceeds. Let's say we can put her to exceeds. Now we take Mike, and Mike's manager is saying Mike deserves greatly exceeds. So we read his calibration package, and then we discuss it. And it might happen that the things Mike's done are less than Anna, they're in the same level. So either Mike is not greatly exceeds, Mike is meets all, or Anna is greatly exceeds and Mike is exceeds, because obviously we can compare them, they're the same level. They are at least in the same org, because what we have the skip manager is the same person, right? So it's not like they're very, very far apart. And yeah, okay, if we think that Mike is greatly exceed and Mike done some great job and he's not meets all, okay, so he's exceeds then. But what about Anna? He might still be exceeds, or she might be greatly exceeds. So you see how it's done, right? Now you have two points, you have two anchors. Now you have a third person. Okay, the fourth, the fifth. So usually it's like 10 to 15% are done that way. And sometimes, like, for example, okay, Joe is really probably between redefines expectations or greatly exceeds. We don't have that many people to compare him with, so Joe will go to the higher round of calibration, right? Because you probably don't take like middle junior engineers and bring them to VP calibration levels, but you can take some corner cases and some more senior people like senior engineers, staff engineers, etc. So this is how it's done. You might have another level, but basically for let's say if it's E3 on E5, it is decided on this level. It is like E5, E6, it's the first done on this level, then it's done on level higher, then E6 might go level beyond that, E6 plus. And obviously, let's say E6 are not the people who calibrate E6, right? So there will be some E7s or E8s, but that's an idea. You have managers, you have highly ranked individual contributors. Yeah, you can see the story moving between different axes, right? So surface, yeah, okay, I didn't use all this. Actually, I think I know some of these people. And then what you have, you have these ratings, which you are assigned to people, and then based on that, it affects their compensation, or they might receive performance improvement plan, and it obviously affects their promotion. So if you have someone who is like 2 calibrations in the row, 2 performance review in the row received exceeds expectations, maybe it's time to promote this person, or maybe not, but it's a good signal, right? And you have this information. Now, 40 minutes, almost 40 minutes passed. I'll check YouTube and then I read questions and try to answer them. What are people who don't want to grow to the new level, like real software engineer, which who doesn't want to receive more responsibilities? Are they fired? Well, it depends on the company. In Facebook, they will be fired. or they will be promoted. Different companies have different dynamics. If you're in a company which has this dynamic, which nice to know, right? So in Facebook, yes, and Google, no. It's a good question, actually. All right, so let me try to go through questions and answer them. How in tech companies behavioral topics are taken into account in performance review? Are the same level? Are they on the same level, or we weigh them? So obviously it is taken to some extent into these people acts, also direction acts, right? It's also calibration and your feedback. It depends on their magnitude. So if you're like you're a total jerk and people are leaving the company, so that's a very, very bad for you, right? And for the company. However, it's like if all delivered metrics are great and there is no much friction, so then obviously it's not as much as important as others, but it is important still. How feedback is gathered. So two things. First, everybody prepares his or her calibration package, where everything is written in these 4 axes. Then there is also a feedback session. Then like you can request a feedback from 4, 5, 6, 7 people. Obviously, feedback from like, let's say, staff engineer is more important than feedback from junior engineer. And then you would be requested to write this feedback, and this feedback will also be included in your calibration package. But it will be anonymous for you. Who participate in calibrations? I think I answered that. At the first level, manager, their manager, and some senior, very senior individual contributors. Is there any framework to perform the calibration? That's pretty much it. So you start with the first person, you have access, and then you use this person as an anchor, and then you move them, and then you just have all these combinations. In those world level high-tech companies, is there a place for subjective, based on opinion, rating the performance evaluation process? Asking, as not all this software development process can be measured with perfectly objective metrics. Of course, there is. Yeah. So like sometimes metrics are not that, how would I say that, descriptive, easy to understand, conveying the story. Also, like it is your manager there, and if your manager is saying like, oh, these guys, so let's say you did a great job, and let's say you like redefine expectations, and your manager is saying, oh, this person is like meets all. People might revolt during the calibration, and they might assign you exceeds or even greatly exceeds. But I would say that your manager still has a power to move it ±1, not like ±3, but you still have this gap. And yeah, what people will tell about you, why we will tell that, right? Because you have people acts and direction acts, so it is. But given that you have more than one person during this calibration, and you have feedback from more than one person, you have something you have written, so it helps to reduce the bias. So if we evaluate people with the business objectives, like the output of the team and meeting the quality of deadline for project, how do you differentiate individual contribution while still staying within the subjective metrics, no opinion-based grading? So first of all, if you have your roadmap at the very beginning, if you achieve some metrics, you would expect that people in this team, they've done a good job, right? At least they achieved the metrics. So sometimes it might be because one person done nothing and 2 people were working their asses. They like spend 150% of their time, which is you can still kind of see through their diffs, code diffs or pull requests. You can see through their activity, etc. So again, they provide information, right? But if metrics are met and there is no complaints and there is enough written in the document, yeah, like that is. Are you asking me if that's the best system in the world? It might be, but it's not ideal. How do you solve the problem of favoring teams based on the importance of projects in the eyes of the company? You don't solve it. That's why it is very, very important to have a very good project, which has a high visibility, which is understandable, which has a metric, which is easy to track. And then if you're there, you've done something good, you have it all. What are the metrics for evaluation of the performance and how to prevent them to be subjective? Well, I think we covered that to some extent. What should be the effect of the comments evaluation of the team members and internal customers who work with their related person for the year, their overall performance score? Depends. So it might be very, very high, because if you worked with, like, let's say, E7 senior staff engineer, and this person wrote a fantastic review about you, that's very good for you. Like it might push you further, right? If this person wrote like, you have to be fired, not good. Again, right? What is like the semantic of this feedback and who wrote it? But basically, let's go to the extreme. You are on the Facebook, and Mark Zuckerberg wrote an extremely positive review about yourself. This is probably very good, right? So you can't cast away this. How can we manage disappointed people after performance evaluations? So extremely good question. So if you have the rules which are clear and understandable, and also let's say it's ideal to have a mid-check review. So let's say 3 months pass. 3 months from now, we will have performance review. Let's see where we are right now. Let's discuss it with the person. And it's always good if you calibrate it yourself, your manager and people and person who reports to this manager. So plus minus one where you are right now. Okay, your problem meets all. You might go, but that from meets all, and there are 3 months, you can go to like meets most, or you can go to exceeds, right? So if they disappointed, what's the reason? Did they expect something different? That's a problem, because they had to know where they are. They had to understand. Now you're just trying to highlight why that happened, what might be done to avoid that in the future. But still, like, they might be disappointed. Is there any common sense for unwritten rules, like helping co-workers? And how are they applied to performance reviews? Yeah, I think this is covered, because if you have a very great feedback and review from high-level people, but it's sometimes tricky, because, for example, on Facebook, you do not have levels or job titles. So like an intern is a software engineer, and like a principal engineer, software engineer. But sometimes you can understand if this person who is a software engineer reports to vice president, then probably this person is no intern. What is the strategy of promotion calibration? Well, rating, this person desire, open positions, or all these taken together. How to review performance of individual over team targets metrics. I think we covered that when we discussed the team, right? So do we have other questions? Okay. Oh, I see some. Do you have any tips how to have high results as a performance review for E4 and E5 engineers, especially? So you need to understand what is important for managers and their managers, and try to highlight that and try to work on that, right? If you work on the right projects. All right. Are the requirements usually presented to the employee before review? In simple words, how can I meet expectations if I don't know what are they? Well, you have to have them, right? That's if you don't know the rules of the game, what are the chances that you are in a good position? I heard that sometimes in big tech companies, some people always work overtime. Does it affect your performance review? No, the amount of the things you output. All right. So I hope I answered questions. I hope I gave you a very brief overview of the performance review process and how it's done and why it's important to know the rules. But if you would have any other questions, feel free to fire them. You can find me on LinkedIn, etc., etc. But anyway, it's always nice to have a specific process which is known for engineers and management, and it helps you to calibrate where you are, what has to be done, and how to move. Right? It's always nice to have a plan. It's always easier to navigate that way. What if metrics are not specifically objectively measurable? How to solve conflicts? Well, if you don't have metrics which help you to do that, you are in a tight spot. You need, so look, let's try to rephrase that. If there is no way to measure your performance or like the value from the team, then that you have a very subjective results, right? If there is no way. If there is a way, you need to come up with these metrics. So if you can't measure it, you can't affect it. You can't affect it while you're trying. You can do that if you have enough money. Why not? But you need metrics. You need ways to measure. All right. Are we good? I think we are. Let me check another messenger. Maybe there is something there. No, all good. All good. All right, folks. Thank you for coming. Let's say onboarding. Okay, Emre, let's give me an example. Let's give me an example. Let's try to give me an example. Let's try to work out a specific metric. So you onboard some people, and these people think that they. Can you describe the situation? I'll try to answer it. Okay, so you have an objective on onboarding people. All right, then you might calculate A, the amount of people being onboarded. B, for example, if you onboarded the people, what would you expect? You probably would expect that they will not leave a company within the next 6 months. So let's say you onboard 100 people. How many of them left within the next 6 months? If it's 100, probably was not the best onboarding. If it's 0, probably was good. Also, third thing, what is an average rating of people you onboarded compared to other people, right? You already have 3 metrics. Well, you can't onboard people, you can't, so you again can measure the friction or attrition, this person performance review, the person who was onboarded, right? And you also can have some kind of subjective poll, or like please fill in the questionnaire how happy you are with the onboarding process, right? And then you can compare. So it's we already like came up with 3 or 4 metrics, because you do onboard people for the reason, and this can't be measured. Hopefully I answered. Right then. You have a great evening, probably. Take care.